Hello, good morning, everyone. I hope everybody are well and safe today. My name is Tia Haslam, and thank you for joining us in our today's focus group on D365 booking portal for funeral service. I would like to welcome you to our live session brought to you by CRM Dynamics, one of the largest Microsoft Gold partner in Canada, 2019 Microsoft Impact Award winner, and a member of Microsoft Global Inner Circle Partners for Business Application in 2019 and 2020. Now, before we begin our focus group, I would like to take you through some housekeeping to ensure that we all can participate in the discussion. I will unmute all the lines, so you will have full audio access, and feel free to unmute at any time should there be any background noise on your side, and to avoid any distraction during our session. We're very excited today to have Kristen McLaughlin, our Director of Marketing, Rob Triggs, our VP Sales Marketing, Dirk Shader, our COO, and David Cooper, our subject matter experts in Funeral Services Booking Portal. I hope you enjoyed the discussion. And now I would like to invite our team member to begin our focus group session.
Hi guys, can everybody hear me okay? Give me a thumbs up if my audio is good. All right. So welcome everybody to our focus group. First off, I just want to take the time to thank each and every one of you for being here virtually today and for being open to sharing your invaluable knowledge with us. I am Kristen McLaughlin. So as Tia mentioned, I'm the Director of Marketing at CRMD, and I'm going to be facilitating some of our discussions today. So before we begin, I'd like to just share the agenda of today's session so you can understand what our plan is. First, we'll do some introductions. We'll have everybody on the call introduce themselves so we all know who we're talking to. And then next, we'll have a candid discussion about industry challenges, business pains, and a few other topics around booking appointments online. Feel free to kind of tell us a little bit about yourself, what company you're from, your job role, anything that kind of stands out. I'll go first and then we'll kind of go around. So as I mentioned, I'm the Director of Marketing for CRM Dynamics. I've been in marketing for over 12 years now, 8 of which have been in the Microsoft Partner Channel. I'm in charge of branding, marketing strategy for CRM Dynamics, and I'm lucky enough to manage a team of pretty talented marketers. And I'm excited to be here today. So what about you, Rob? Do you want to go next?
Yeah, hi everybody, good morning. Thanks for joining us. I'm responsible for sales and marketing for CRM Dynamics, and I take a very strong look at how do we best help our customers achieve the business objectives that they're trying to achieve. And so the focus group, this vehicle called the focus group, is one of the tools we use to do that. And so I'm hoping that by you joining today, you'll see that there's value in this type of engagement, even if it's done virtually. And as we continue, we invite you to unmute and ask questions as we go along.
Dirk, how about you?
Great, yes. Hello, everyone. My name is Dirk Schrader. I'm one of the founders of CRM Dynamics. And actually, I've been doing software systems and customer solutions since 1994. So my interest in this webinar and to hear from everyone is to get ideas of what you think makes sense, how we can build upon this. We're really here to serve you and make sure that our solutions help your business. So that's what I'd like to make sure we do. And I'm very proud of our whole team who I think works very hard to do that every day.
David?
Hello, everyone. Thanks very much for joining this morning. So my name is David Cooper, and I'm a subject matter expert here at CRM Dynamics. I've been involved in the Microsoft ecosystem for about 12 years now, and really been involved with the funeral sector for about 3 years, helping clients build their business through portals and customer service platforms. So I'm really happy that everyone's on the call today and looking forward to a really good discussion.
Awesome. So I don't know if we want to try to also introduce the other people on the line who are attending. We can kind of see if the audio function works and the microphones work for everybody else. So I'm just going to go through alphabetically, and when you hear your name, maybe you can hop on and say hello.
Hello.
All right. You want to tell us where you're from?
My name is Anthony Caddick. I'm with NFDA, National Funeral Directors Association, and I am in New Jersey right now.
Great. Welcome. And next, I see that we do have Bill on the line. I don't know if he wants to say hello.
Hi, good morning.
Hi, Bill. And Colin.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Colin Askett, and I'm in the funeral business, and I am here because I am curious what you guys are up to.
Perfect. And hopefully contributing to the conversation.
Hello, my name's Emily. I am one of the new summer interns for CRM Dynamics, and I'm here to kind of get experience and look into how you guys are running your webinars.
Welcome.
Yeah.
Happy you. Eric.
Good morning, everybody. It's Eric Garnham here. I work at CRM Dynamics as well as a business development manager, and I work alongside David with the funeral industry as well. And I have a focus on member-based associations and portal use as well. So a lot of focus towards a lot of the needs right now in the funeral industry and the digital transformation that we're seeing across the industry. Excited to see what we have to talk about today, and excited to see the direction that you guys see going as well. All and looking forward to it.
Thanks, Eric. Jared.
Hey everyone, Jared T, product marketing lead at CRM Dynamics. It's my 1 month anniversary at CRM Dynamics, and I'm on here to listen and learn. So I'm excited.
Hello, I'm Kim Klotz, and I'm with the National Funeral Directors Association. I'm their Senior Business Systems Analyst, and I'm here to listen and learn.
Where are you located, Kim?
In Wisconsin.
Very cool. And last but not least, we have Wade.
Yes, I'm Wade Shreve from Mount Pleasant Group of Cemeteries. We're a group of cemeteries here in the Greater Toronto area, so I'm up in Toronto. I'm the regional sales manager for them, work mostly with pre-planning and sort of outbound sales, and love to listen.
Welcome. Okay, so that's everybody. We do have a small intimate group, which is kind of the way we like to do these, so that everyone feels comfortable, everybody has a voice. So moving forward, some of you are probably wondering who we are, who is CRM Dynamics. So let me tell you, we have about over 25 years of experience helping companies with improving their business strategy, digital marketing, sales, and implementing Microsoft Dynamics 365. And CRM Dynamics provides industry-specific CRM solutions for clients, and we have called those blueprints. So after 25 years of experience designing custom Dynamics 365 systems, we have significantly reduced the amount of time it takes to implement these solutions, and we always strive to produce successful business outcomes for our clients. We also really believe in working with full transparency. So this has given us the ability to grow as a company and have also helped us become one of the largest Microsoft 365 in Canada. So we are a Microsoft Gold certified partner. We're a member of the 2019-2020 Microsoft Inner Circle. And we actually are also the winner of the 2019 Microsoft Canada Business Applications Impact Award. So we do bring a lot of expertise to the table, and we strive to dynamically change and keep up with ongoing business trends as they happen. That's just like a little bit about us. And now, why are you guys here today? So Dynamics' vision is to help put our customers in a much better position than they were before they started working with us. We show our customers what can be done with Microsoft technology and ultimately work together as partners to provide the best product possible. So we're here today to gather and discuss important funeral service challenges, share solutions. The objective of is brainstorm ways to set up Microsoft Dynamics 365's booking portal and to have it better support you guys and your organizations. CRMD has worked with a number of funeral service organizations in the past, and we've developed a funeral service booking portal that's powered by Dynamics 365. So we're going to take what we did today during our session and apply it to our new product so we can produce a better solution for you guys at an affordable price point. So yeah, that's pretty much why we're here today. Does anybody have any questions about us or anything like that before we get into our discussion? So let's kind of get into our discussions. I want you guys to just unmute yourself when you have something to say. We'll see how this goes. It should be good. We've never done this virtually, as Rob said. So I'm excited to kind of see how it works. So basically, now more than ever, we have basically so we believe that funeral services need an easy way now to engage with potential clients and provide them online booking options, right? And I think that right now with COVID going on, there are a ton of industry challenges that we might see happening all around every different kind of industry, not just yours, but kind of affecting everything. So I want to hear from you guys. What are you facing at the moment? Are your sales slow? Are they busy? Is COVID-19 affecting you? Do you have industry regulations that you need to comply with? So is anybody brave enough to start the conversation?
I guess if I could go ahead there. I think that one of the challenges that we're certainly facing is that we have a limit on the number of people that we're able to have into our buildings in regards to visitations and funeral services. So if we were doing any online booking, it would be booking the maximum capacity of our funeral homes to allow the public to come in and pay their respects. To be honest, I'm sure you'll get more into this, but booking appointments as far as arrangements and pre-arrangements, that's not been problematic. But on a grander scale of trying to schedule say 250 people to come and pay their respects and only have 30% of your building for social distancing, at least here in Ontario, Canada, that's problematic. So I could see where you may have a solution for something along those lines.
Are you guys looking to book times, have times available online for even the families to schedule to when they can come, because you can only accept a certain amount of people?
Yeah, I think certainly larger funeral homes. I'm rural Ontario, so it's not as problematic for us. But definitely, if you were in the, speaking in Ontario, in the city of Toronto, trying to service, multiple families each day, then that scheduling is going to become very, very important.
Yeah, that's interesting. I love that application. One of the things that we've been doing over the last few years is the booking portal that we've put into the marketplace isn't just in the funeral in the funeral services area. We actually have done it in many different industries. Today we're focused on the funeral services, obviously, but one of them was member management. So organizations that manage members, and the one that's popped up recently is gym, like going to a gym, like a Good Life Fitness or something. So as they start to open with COVID, they too have to limit how many people are arriving. They don't want lineups down the road waiting to get into the gym. So one of the applications there is to do just that, is to allow people to pre-book a time, either use the piece of equipment that they want to use or an area of the gym facility. So having the problem of limiting the number of people that are allowed in the building is a perfect application for what we're going to talk about today. So that's really good. Does anybody else, especially the people that are here from the NFDA, I'd love to hear from you. Some of the challenges that we're hearing from our customers today in the funeral services business, we've captured, we think we understand them. What we're really hoping to gain by having you here today is a better understanding of what other, so the COVID challenges, let's talk about that, but even the non-COVID challenges. If COVID didn't happen, right? If COVID didn't happen, what kind of challenges are you seeing in the funeral services industry today? And maybe what opportunities do you feel that you're not able to service your members adequately? Maybe we can start there.
Well, I'll start with the COVID start first. The COVID start is, again, like Manny mentioned, that not servicing their families and feeling that they can't serve their families right now is heart-wrenching to them, because they really are compassionate people that want to help in funeral service, right? So they can't even help them. They feel they can't help them, grieve properly with, closure and all that, with having more than 25 people in some areas or less in some hotspots at the service. That's number one. Number two is, when that happens, they're not buying prayer cards. They're not buying all the material that goes into helping, that closure or grief process. So I know I was on a webinar with a bunch of consultants a month ago, or less than a month ago. And one of the things they talked about on a survey was that the average funeral is probably down in between 35 and 40% on a revenue scale of things. So when you look at that, that's pretty significant, when it comes to that marketplace. The other thing is, we are going to have a grief tsunami, I guess some people are saying, because people did not go to a funeral or did not have time to say goodbye or have that time with the family and want to hug the family and be that way. I could talk about a personal experience. I have a friend who lives across the street from me, lost his sister, and they could not come together. A big Italian family, Catholic family. The hospital actually suggested that they have her sister cremated because of how bad she was, and they couldn't do an open casket and want to do all that stuff they could do. So it was heart wrenching to see all the cars drive by in the street and honk the horn and say we love you, and the father and the two daughters stand outside. It was really hard to see, them not couldn't communicate their grief at all. So those are some of the challenges, that they, within funeral service that some funeral directors are seeing right now.
Yeah. I'm assuming that some places have gone to virtual, the virtual sessions, I guess. Is that something that you're seeing?
It's funny. Our website license went through the roof with web streaming for funeral service. Now, web streaming's been around for a couple of years now, but it seemed obviously with the COVID, it actually skyrocketed. People are still web streaming, but a lot of times it might have been recorded per se, and not really live, and they can watch it anytime they want. But now that with COVID, it really went through the roof as far as our web streaming license. So, and I think that people are getting accustomed to this now, right? So I think that's going to become a real staple. So now that you can't go to a funeral, whether it's travel reasons as we have now, some people don't want to travel, at least they can feel a part of it. And now the family is accepting that piece also. So the family will come by and scream, "Hey, hi, how are you? Thank you for coming." So we see that a lot more, and I don't think that's going away. I don't think a lot of this is going to be going away. I think it's now going to be a piece of the memorial process.
Yeah. That's a tough thing. Like there's lots of people that are elderly family members have passed, and they weren't even allowed to go see them in the nursing homes before they were really ill, and then they passed, and they. So you're right. I think the grief tsunami, that's quite an expression, actually, if you think about it. And I can see how that's going to happen. It's interesting, this slide, when we get to this slide in these roundtable sessions, the presentation can go in a very different way than what we were intending. And so the rest of the slides are all geared to how do we help the funeral services industry attract and engage and book more clients and that kind of, so that's where we're headed in the next few slides.
And Rob, if I can add,
please.
One of the things that our funeral directors are considering is many of the families later on want to have some sort of a gathering. And it could be a real opportunity for funeral directors and funeral homes that maybe they couldn't help the family now because of restrictions, but reconnecting with them at a later point in time to help them have something when people are able to gather. So it's an opportunity.
And how do most funeral services providers keep track of customers? Do they have systems that they use now? Like, do they have like we're in the CRM business, so I'll just call it a CRM. Do they have a CRM typically?
I think it's probably a mix, but some of the funeral directors on the line could answer that better than I could.
Okay. Yeah, because the interesting thing is we're going to talk a lot about what's happening in the funeral services industry and what can we do from a technology point of view to help ease some of the pain that you're seeing. Today's focus is really on sort of the booking portal aspect of what we've done in this industry, but because it's connected to Dynamics, Dynamics can do many, many other things. So if anyone wants to go off-roading in this discussion, that's the purpose of having a focus. You may take us into an area we weren't planning on talking today, but that's why we have the various people on the line. And we also have a few other people from Serum Dynamics that are on the line. You just don't see their bubble faces here. They're here, and we can engage them too. So is there anything else? Challenges?
When you talk about that, other things, there is, we are operating in the Greater Toronto area. We have several different locations. So for us, it's things like booking different rooms. It's within the industry, you know, we may be booking vehicles to go to various places. We have certain central locations that do our preparation and that sort of thing. So, you know, being able to book people and book equipment and book times for rooms to be used, that's something that we always find is I mean, we've managed to do it, but to have a better system to do it would be great.
Okay, we asked Dirk to come because he's one of the founders of our company, and a lot of times he's the chief architect or some of the more robust solutions that we put forward to customers. And so we'll get into it, we'll talk about it more, but if you think about it, when you're talking about booking something, the tool that we're going to show you and talk about today is the ability to book people to book time with you to talk about, you know, using your services potentially. But think about the person they're booking time with in your organization as an asset, as a kind of an asset. So it's a person's time. But assets can be a room, a meeting room. An asset can be a vehicle, like you just said. And it's unlimited to what an asset can be. It's just how many assets do you have? What asset type is it? When is it available? And so Dirk can actually show you how you can set that up in the system as assets. How many do you have? When are they available? And then the calendar booking piece can be either exposed to the external customers so they can book on their own, or you can have it controlled so that you can have it controlled so that someone controls those assets and only allows someone to book it once they've gone through a screening process. You know what I mean? So those are really good applications of what we're here to talk about today. Is there anything before we move off this slide, industry challenges, is there anything that you haven't said you want to say that you could do that now before we move off this slide?
I would say we had a webinar yesterday, which was interesting. We had a webinar on security with Dell Technologies was on with us yesterday. Had about 40 people on yesterday. And it was interesting to hear some of the security questions because it was really about securing and whether server to cloud was a big topic. And being that a lot of in the United States, there's a lot of electronic death registry. So how do I keep that information secure from hackers and all that information? So it was kind of a good conversation when we had it yesterday. So I wanted to bring that today to let you guys know that was top of mind, was about security.
Yeah, anytime you're dealing with data, personal data, any kind of data these days, security is always part of the conversation. And every customer we talk to and every project we do, security is a component. And one of the great things is our solutions are not, the two owners of our company's name are Bill and Dirk. So it's not Bill and Dirk in the basement software.com, right? So they're not sitting making up software. Like this is Microsoft we're talking about. So Microsoft has one of the most, if not the most, secure online environments known to humankind. And so the government, the US government, federal government, and the military even have a lot of their information in the Microsoft hosted facilities now. It's that secure. So when it comes to if we need to get into what are the particulars of security, we can absolutely address that. But all the solutions we're going to talk about today all sit inside the Microsoft cloud, highly secure, and you can even use some of the tools Microsoft offers to make it even more secure. For example, credit card. We do a lot of e-commerce, and you cannot store credit cards, otherwise you're not compliant with the protocols for that. And there's different ways of obscuring numbers. So security is a very important thing, especially with the type of information that your members are dealing with. So that's really good. Thank you for that. Anything else anybody wants to comment on? And we can add things as we go along. We don't have to just not do that as we leave the slide. Good. This is really cool. Like we didn't, sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, if I could just get you, just before you move on, Colin Haskett again. Just one more challenge that has really been plaguing me for some time. And this may be a very localized issue, and I may be the only person on the call wrestling with this, but there's big opportunity, and it is kind of big business. But in this part of the world, we still accept memorial donations for visitors, and there, to the best of my knowledge, is no great platform to manage, track, and accept memorial donations, either virtually or in person, where we're not paying somewhere in the neighborhood of like 9 to 10% of donation money into cyberspace. So, you know, for me, that's been a huge problem in rural Ontario. People come in cash in hand, they want to make memorial contributions. Big city firms, they're scared of taking donations, but I mean, in a world where we're all doing less in the funeral business, I've always believed it's important to do more or to continue doing what we're doing, but do it better. So that would be my, if there was any objective for me and your company, and you thought you had a solution, or someone on the call knew of a solution, I'm currently investigating.
Yeah, we do. Now, can I go back to something you said? Did you say the fees are 9 to 10% on the dollars donated?
If you dig into it, at least 8 to the best of my knowledge, and that's our largest funeral home website providers in the sector or in the industry. So basically, they're allowing friends and family to donate online only. They process the donation. There's some fees in there. They're providing tax receipts, but it's pretty hefty, and that's a hard pill to swallow when you're talking $8 out of every 100, and at least with my community. Yeah.
So we've seen this before. So in the member management not-for-profit space, there's a couple different technology providers that will offer you their solution for free, but they charge those fees. And one of our clients, they do like run-a-thons and dance-a-thons and all kinds of different a-thons to raise money. And Dirk, do you remember the percentage? I think it was at least 10% they were charging. Maybe more.
Yeah, so the smaller the donation amount, the bigger the fee, right? So if you charge $10, I think they had a $2.50 processing fee.
Right.
And if it was $100, it would be a $3 fee. So if you're getting a lot of small donations, it can really add up. So we have both prepaid funeral services, or you can purchase any inventory you want to make available. And if you manage, the system can issue the tax receipts automatically. It's tracked within the system. Then it's only the Moneris or the credit card provider charge, and we have a one-time installation charge. So, you know, if you're only doing a few transactions, then even 8% is not bad if you're only taking 10 or 20 donations a month. But if you're doing more than that, then a one-time solution and then you own it, I think really makes a lot of sense, right? And now you're talking a 1 or 2% fee, your credit card processing fee only.
Well, there's probably a revenue opportunity too for funeral directors. If you offer the service of being able to collect donations electronically, I don't know if it's appropriate or if it's common practice in your industry to actually collect. You know, you take fees for doing that, right? It's your time and energy and everything else. But there's probably a fairly decent, realistic revenue opportunity for you as well to be able to offer a service like that.
Yeah, you might want to look at I think it's called Join Generous. They're actually looking into our market. That we had a call with them not too long ago, and they're looking because of. They get a number of calls from people that want to donate on behalf of the decedent's name, right? So they want to make sure that there's a platform there for them, for the families to do that when they go to a funeral director's website. So they're looking at so you could pick which, which foundation or which, charity you want to donate
Yeah,
to.
sure.
So
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, it's not hard to do. Like we've done things like this, hey Derek? We've done different things like this using Dynamics. Dynamics is a platform that's extended. You can extend out to people through either secure login or through the website. And so this kind of functionality is fairly simple to set up. It's just thinking through how you want it to work, and then we configure it to do that. So what we're going to talk about today is things we've already done, like the booking capability for funeral services. But the donations piece is absolutely, Colin, something that if you wanted to dig in that a little bit deeper later, we can do that with you.
Yes, please. That would be good.
And we're not here to sell you something, right? We're here to have a discussion about how do we best help your funeral services using the things that we know how to do. And if we honestly don't think we can help you, we'll say, look, we can help you, and here's where you should go. But this is something, this donation thing is a real hot point for me anyway. And Dirk, I think you were involved quite a bit on those few customers we talked to. We saw customers getting hosed, absolutely hosed. And because they didn't understand technology enough, because that's not their world, they didn't get it. And they didn't understand they were getting hosed. And so we're actively trying to help them because we get technology and we don't want to host people. So I think there might be an opportunity to help you here. Okay, Kristen.
Yeah, so just kind of going back, just switching gears a little bit, I just kind of wanted to go through some of the stuff that we've learned from our past funeral service clients that we've worked with, kind of the takeaways, and then I just want to see if you guys agree, if you disagree, if it applies to you or not, on like a wider scale. So I remember our last funeral service client, they explained to us, obviously, that time is precious, right? I felt that developing a digital booking system that was respectful was a priority for the company, but beyond the element of compassion, we were told that potential customers in the funeral industry are not interested in going through a really long sales cycle, right? So often the company to offer an appointment will actually end up getting the business first, just because they'll just take it because they want to check that off their list. So I guess my question is, Rob, to you first, do you think that this applies to most funeral businesses that you work with? And open it up to everybody else.
Yeah, so we've heard this not only in the funeral services industry, but we've heard it in other industries too. So more and more people, especially with COVID, but let's forget about COVID for a minute. More and more people, when they're shopping for something, if they have an opportunity to engage with the company immediately, if they can, to get their question answered, the probability of them doing business with that organization goes through the roof. So what we've heard from some of our funeral services customers is look, if we can give our customer or potential customer an opportunity to engage with us on their terms at the time of day they choose and secure, give them the answer they're looking for, or at least secure some time or whatever, so that they know that their answer or their concern or their query is going to get dealt with. If we're the first one to offer that to them, the probability of them using our services goes through the roof. Mm-hmm. And this is true in a highly competitive area, like in the GTA, for those of you that are from the Canadian marketplace. The Greater Toronto area, there's a ton of competitive funeral services, right? Sometimes when you're in small town Canada or even small town US, there's less to choose from, right? Like Smith Funeral Services on the corner, everyone goes there, that's where you go. This might not apply. But for the others that are competing, the question is really this: do you believe that if you give your potential customer, your prospect, the ability to reach out to you and connect and get their question answered, right away, if possible, at any time of day, do you see that as something that would help your business? Do you see that something that won't impact your business at all? What are your thoughts on that? Because we have our opinion, but we're here to get your opinion.
I mean, we tend to see that GTA in the GTA market, it's the first or the second. It might be that you're answering them and giving them the information they need. Maybe the price isn't right for them, or they want to check it with another provider. And I tend to be either the first person, or in many cases, you check with someone else and they have an opportunity to provide different pricing, and $10 is $10, and so there might be a change there that causes that to people to move in that direction. But I'm more pre-planning, so I don't know. People have time to make a decision, for me. So they do tend to shop around in the GTA on pre-planning anyway.
It's interesting. When my father was retiring from his career at Ford Motor Company, I don't know why, but he got into the selling pre-planning of funeral services in the U.S. He lived over in Northville, Michigan, and so he would actually be doing calling and things like that. It was kind of funny. I mean, I've been in sales for a long time, so I was helping him, giving him some pointers. So I totally get that. One of the things we wanted to talk about too is how do you give your prospects the capability to reach out to you? And we've just jotted a few points down at the bottom. So by telephone, obviously, by mail, like snail mail, a face-to-face visit, and with COVID, that's probably a lot harder. By email, maybe even through social channels, just like Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, and others. And then finally, the website visit. And the website visit is the one we're going to focus on today, but we're happy to talk about any of these other ones. I guess the point is, you really need to have all these covered off these days. And the areas we find most organizations don't have it covered off adequately is in the bottom two, the social channel and the website visit. And so that's what we're going to talk about some more. Anybody else want to comment on this concept of will your sales increase if you give the ability for people to connect with you immediately?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really important to think about other markets or other that are looking at that. Well, let's just look at banking, right? Bank of America, as soon as they instituted Ask Erica from a chatbot scenario, their customer relations has jumped up dramatically just based off of having her answer the typical Q&A kind of question, right, that you can answer. And I don't think in our market we don't have that. The funeral directors don't have an aspect of an Erica or Ask so and so, to get those quick Q&A questions.
Yeah, like it's almost like you've read our deck. That's one of our last slides, is to talk about chatbots and virtual agents, we call them now. And you're right. And when I think through, like I had to shop for the services you offer when my mom passed away, and it wasn't a pleasant experience at all because of the nature of what it is. And I've got to believe, and from some of the customers we do have, we know that when people are starting to look for these services, depending on how the situation has come up, they're either doing it after hours, they're not doing it from 8:30 to 5. They're doing it in the evenings, they're doing it on the weekend. We've heard they don't really want to talk to somebody on the phone, like they're emotional, they just don't want to. So giving people, and then the younger generation don't talk to people anyway on the phone. So, sorry, Kristen, but as the younger generation continues to make these decisions, they want technology tools because they want to type things to people. They don't want to pick up the phone. So, giving these tools, and chatbot is huge, right? They want their answer now. If you can give the answer now, the likelihood of you winning that business goes up.
Well, I'll put the marketing hat and branding hat on. When you think about that, think about the new consumer, right? I have 3 children. I have a 14-year-old, a 20-year-old, and a 16-year-old, 17-year-old. So now I look at what they're doing. Now I could sit there and I could call them and FaceTime them 100 times and they'll never pick up. But as soon as I send a text message, they'll respond right back to me. So you got to know we got to know who our customer is, right? So right. The other thing you have to understand about that is who's influencing the mom when she comes in to make arrangements for grandma. Who is behind mom? It's usually the daughter or son saying, well, how come we can't have this, or why can't we do this or this? So I think there's an aspect of we need to listen to the generations below us in order to look at some of the things that we want to do moving forward, right? So I'm a big proponent in that, in looking forward and wanting to, I was just on a conversation with someone about AI, VR, and AR, and there's a company called Mojo Vision. They're one of the first ones that came up with they're not even going to glasses, they decided to go full on contacts. So you can have, when you look down, you can have your whole calendar in your contact. When you look up, you can get the weather. Like there's a lot of things going on that side. that we're not even touching the surface on here.
No, and so what you're talking about now is really extending the virtual experience beyond the virtual agent and into a fully immersive experience. And because we're representing Microsoft and the Microsoft Business Applications Division, we have those tools at our disposal. So Microsoft has these goggles basically, and the goggles allow you to immerse yourself in a virtual universe. And the applications that are working really, because right now it's like Buck Rogers, right? For those of you who know what Buck Rogers is, I'm sure Kristen doesn't, but it's like Buck Rogers. It's just too out there. It's too, you know what I mean? But Microsoft's had a lot of success in customer service. So a customer service technician goes out and they go to this machine and they try to fix the machine. And they can't, there's something wrong. So what they do is they call the engineer and they put their goggles on. And they immerse themselves in this 3D image. So instead of looking through documentation, they immerse themselves in this 3D world and they're able to see things. So the application of immersing people in these 3D world and in this world, kind of like Star Trek holodeck way, but by throwing the goggles on. Like that time is now. People are using it. There's specific applications where it works really well. There's some that it's in its infancy. The thing that's missing is the user's willingness and open-mindedness to use it. And when things happen to us, like COVID, those willingness issues go away. So we used to talk about digital transformation a lot before COVID happened. And now there's a lot of statistics that say the digital transformation of businesses has accelerated by 50,000, I don't know what it is, like some thousands of percent. Is crazy. Because now it's not a matter of, hey, it would be good for us to invest in digital technology so that we can modify our business models to take advantage of these awesome tools. Now it's, oh my God, we have to use these tools to survive. And so that's what's happened. So a lot of the tools you're talking about are absolutely part of the Microsoft ecosystem. And the value prop to our customers is really, rather than going out and buying, you know, this piece of technology that's an island and this little piece of technology is a little bit of an island, that type of thing, to build out a plan. So today we're going to talk about a booking tool that's part of the Dynamics platform, and that's really all I have to say about that.
As you look at this booking tool, it seems like it's been more focused on at time of need, but I'd also think it'd be good to stretch it to think about those who are shopping around because they want to plan ahead. You know, maybe they know they have an illness and they don't want to worry their family. Or in my case, we just lost my father-in-law, and he and I had planned, you know, several years before because he wanted to know all the things were taken care of. You know, he was 94 or 97 when he passed away, but, you know, that was the mentality of that age. So as you're looking at things, there may be some opportunities to think on both at time of need and pre-need.
Yeah, no, you're right. And the booking application is just that. It's an application that's configurable and malleable to accommodate many, many different things. So this slide here is showing a couple different ways of engaging your clients. So the first one on the far left is a form that we actually use on our website. And this is, I'm sure you're all used to this, but one way to engage your customer is for them to click on a form and fill in information. And now they go into your database and now you know who they are. So this is one way for you for these pre-planning and for these types of things, that if you don't already use this type of technology on your website, you should immediately. Now, the key though is this has a long tail if you do this right. So this person, for some reason, has opted to give you their personal information because you're going to offer them something of value. So in our case, we're offering an ebook that's compelling enough for them to put their information in. So once that happens, all that information goes into the CRM database, and now I have a prospect that I'm going to communicate to on an ongoing basis. Now in your world, if it's a pre-planning prospect, and you know that because the ebook they download was how to pre-plan properly or something like that, making this up as I go here, then now you've got a segment in your database that is all about people that are open to pre-planning. So every event that you do, every communication you do, you can target them in a marketing list very, very easily, okay? So that's a real passive way of drawing prospects that are, in this case, interested in pre-planning, closer to becoming customers of yours, okay? The next one, next to that, is an example of a live chat agent. So a live chat job is to deal with someone at the absolute time that they want to talk. Now, they might not be at the point of need for your service, but maybe they are starting to look at pre-planning. Maybe they are interested in different services. But whatever the thing is, these young generation, and us too, us older ones, we expect to get serviced right away because we're impatient, I guess, because we're old. But we want the tool to work for us right now. So you go to a website and you have a couple options. I can either click on the phone number and call, which less and less people are doing. I can send you an email, which some people will do, but you don't know how long it's going to take for someone to get back to you. You could fill in a form on your website, contact us, and we'll get back to you. And that's wonderful, but you don't know how long it's going to take again. Or you can do this. You can have a live chat of some kind that you can talk back and forth to someone. So we highly recommend customers put some kind of a chat agent into their website. We offer one through Dynamics that actually syncs with your CRM database. So anything that gets said, all that data gets held in the CRM database, so you have a record of it. So that's the chat capability. Then on the right, we've got an example of ours. If you want to know where our address is, you mail us something, you could if you wanted to. You could email us by clicking on the sales at CRM Dynamics, and we get some leads through that. But the one we wanted to talk about the most is the one that it says book appointment online. So literally, if you click that button, the capability of booking an appointment with us comes up. So maybe you don't want to live chat with us, but you want to book time with us. And so that's what we're going to talk about next.
Okay, so this kind of is similar to what we were just talking about. I think we covered a lot of this slide already, so I'm just going to kind of, I don't know if you want to speak to the scheduling here on this screenshot, Rob?
Yeah, so there's various ways we've done this. This is an example of an actual customer of ours. We've changed the look and feel so it doesn't divulge who they are because we don't like to do that. But so basically you're on a website and for whatever reason you've decided, you know what, I want to talk to these people. These are good people. So they click the button and then this calendar pops up or something that looks something like this. So here we have different days and different times that are available that you can book. So if you click one of those buttons, you're able to book that time. So once you click the button, a form will pop up and you'll fill in your information and then it'll get accepted. And then that time is booked. And so whose calendar this books is up to you. It can be a funeral director, right? If they're the person that is responsible for doing the triaging and talking to the potential customer, which I probably think is not normally going to be the funeral director. Maybe you have a salesperson, for example, if you're large enough to have sales teams. But whoever it ends up being, that's negotiable to you. We can do that. And the key thing is this, though. Someone came to your website, however they got there because you've done a good job on SEO or you've put out good content. They found you, someone referred them. It's 9 o'clock at night. They're not happy, right? But they know they need to find these services. They go online, you have a phone number, you have an email address, maybe you have a form to contact us. You don't have live chat on because it's 9 o'clock at night, but they want to be done. They want to get this thing off their list that they've secured at least one or two potential service providers to get this thing done, right? So this tool gives them something that's fairly unique that goes above and beyond just live chat and those other forms. It gives them the chance to book time with somebody.
Yeah. Rob, can I jump in for a minute as well? So the other concept is before you get to the actual booking portal here, we can pre-qualify the person. So you can ask a few questions on the website. For example, is a funeral imminent? Are you looking at cremation or a full service funeral? Or are you just interested in learning more or pre-planning? So based on the answers to those questions, we can show a different booking calendar. So if I'm just interested maybe we show upcoming webinars, and that's the option you get. And the nice thing about webinars, it's the least labor intensive for you to deliver that service, right? You can have many people attend for that. Whereas if you want to do a a prepaid funeral and you're ready to buy, then you would show maybe shorter appointments to the expert for that service. And if you want full service, you would get a different calendar for different resources. So that's a nice way to spend the least amount of your resources to match the business need or the client need.
Exactly. And the reason why we're calling this customer journey is your customers, depending on what's happening with them, they're on a journey to either secure services with you or not. And so if you give them various tools that allows them to engage with you at a time and in a way that they want to, your business should improve. Can you go to the next slide, Kristen?
Mm-hmm. That's just about pre-packing.
Yeah, so this is something, if you go to the next slide, I'm just cognizant of the time, it's already 5 to 11.
Exactly.
So one of the options, the other options is we wanted to talk about, maybe Dirk, you can talk about this more, is the ability to have prepackaged solutions. And I'm sure some of you have those, but one way to engage a customer is to give them a good, better, best offer. And so if they are in the mode of, yes, we're interested in doing some business, what you can do is you can say, here's a good, a better, and a best offering. When they click on that, now they're engaged with you. Now they're in the dance, if you will, right? They're starting to work with you. And then once you do that, you can either book an appointment or things like that. Dirk, did you have something specific you wanted to cover off on that? I'm not sure if you did.
Yeah, so in the interest of time, maybe I can speak to that a little bit more. So when you say good, better, and best, it doesn't have to be that in your face, right? What it could be is there's a cremation service, and I think typically people think a cremation service takes less resources than full service, or you can ask for a number of attendees, and then you might have some pricing based on the size of the funeral. So however you see the variables that drive your business, or the difference between a very good prospect and a not as good prospect, we can ask those questions either through chatbot or in online questions, or even just giving a menu for whoever is looking at engaging with you. They select their own information, and you give some feedback about what fits best for them. So by doing that, you're giving the exact amount of service you need to a good prospect, right?
Yeah, one of the things in the in the U.S. is, you have the FTC rule with the funeral rule, and they're looking at putting a little bit of a debate about funeral directors required to put their pricing online, right? So you're going to have to look at that piece and say, okay, how is that going to look? How does the general price list, how does it have to look like online? What does that look like for the U.S.? Right. Package, I would say, we all talk about that all day long, but packages, which is interesting, is about not so much, in some aspects, traditional versus cremation. It's about what kind of service. They keep on saying, put the emphasis on the service, right? So the package is, what's the value of the service? So if you have a life tribute service, you're going to get all these values. If you're going to have just a tribute, here's what you get for the tribute. So go back to your point. There's a number of funeral directors in the U.S. that actually have a brand that goes good, better, best. They have their life tribute center, and they have their exclusive service, and then they go to their next service, which has all the bells and whistles. So what's interesting about that is that, obviously, Rob, you being the salesperson like I am, that's what we do, right? So we actually bring someone in on the one level, and then we talk about the benefits and the value of the next level to bring them up. So when they walk into their low-end cremation service, they have photographs of their mid-level service. So people are looking on the wall saying, oh, I want that. Okay, well, that's our next brand. We'll bring you up to our next brand. So I think those are important factors when you think about package pricing.
Yeah, yeah, and a lot of strategy is put into this, right? So you can have a very low price for the economic buyer, and can also use the low price to attract someone to start talking to you. And then, you know, with most businesses, what you end up doing is you end up talking to the customer about what they really want to accomplish, right? What kind of memories do they want to have? What kind of services do they want to have? All those things. And in the end, they end up on the platinum package because, you know, it's mom. They really want something good for mom. But
right, and again, they're being influenced by something. They might be being influenced by somebody else that says, "Well, mom, you know, it's not." You have to get into that conversation. That mom, hey, it's really not for you. It's for us. It's for us to talk about you when you're not here, or dad, it's for us to talk about when you're not here, or the grandchildren. You know.
Yeah, yeah, and it's an important thing, right? It's the last thing you're going to do for that person, right, in their life, and people want to do that. So when it comes to prepackaged solutions, things like that, the technology and the way of engaging and the customer journey, marrying those three things together becomes really important. Especially
and for your aspect, for your aspect, you know, it'd be easy for a funeral director. How can I manipulate that really easy? How can I edit that very easily on the back end? You know,
yeah.
How can I add things? How can I add things to that package that now I want or take away? You know, I mean, we want to build the value up for that.
Right, right. Yeah, you don't have to call the web guy every time and say, hey, I need to pay you another $300 to get you to change these three. You don't want that. They don't need that anymore. You can do it yourself. It's easy. Okay, so that's good. So that sounds like that resonated a little bit. Next one, Kristen, because we're.
I'm thinking maybe just talk a little bit more in depth about the chatbot. Or.
Okay. So the purpose of this is we did have one customer say, look, I really don't want anyone to be able to book my people's time willy-nilly, right? It can't just be open to anybody anyhow. And so when we've addressed those issues before, there's a series of questions that it can ask, and Dirk mentioned earlier. So if they answer these 3 or 4 questions properly, then they're served up the booking tool so they can book time. Or if they answer them a different way, instead of booking an appointment, you serve them up something else so they can have maybe an invitation to the next webinar, or maybe they get added to a marketing list for pre-booked services or whatever it is. So what we can do is we can configure it so that people just aren't booking things willy-nilly that aren't qualified. And there's a couple ways of doing that. One way, if you go to the next screen, Kristen, is a chatbot. And it's funny how you brought that up earlier, because it's a pretty advanced feature, right? And so this is just an example of what it might look like. So it's, you think through how you want the questions to be answered, and then we set up the chatbot tool to do that. So the beauty of this is this. Think of the customer journey. So the customer journey, in a lot of cases, 9 o'clock at night, Saturday night, Friday night, whatever it is, they finally get the time to sit down and think about who should we call, who should we get to do these services for us. And when you have tools available like this, as a funeral service provider, you separate yourself from your competitors immediately. Now, the other thing is, if we can do this and the cost is relatively low, and the ease of use and the ease of maintaining it is there, then it makes it even more sense because it's Microsoft, it's an enterprise solution, it's modular, it's scalable, it's easy to use. So by providing these tools, we believe it's a good thing for the funeral services industry. So thoughts on this really quickly? Are we off the mark, on the mark? What are your thoughts on the virtual agent idea?
I mean, I think it's a good idea. It makes some sense. I mean, there's a lot of different people we have, and yes, to channel it makes all kinds of sense to get it to the right person.
Yeah, when you think about, I mean, like Derek was saying, when a death is imminent. Okay, well, then I'm going to click that. Then what's the next question from that? What do you need? What do you need to do next? What's the following steps? And I think you can really, I mean, that's what when you look at Bank of America, that's what Erica does. I want to deposit money. Okay, what do I need to do? Okay, she tells you right off the bat what you need to do. All those things. But then she brings you to the next thing. So if you're looking to prearrange, you're going to most likely you're going to an insurance agent that's on staff or anything like that. So, and then you can book your appointment at that point with that person to go forward.
Yeah, and this is showing you a screen that gives you an example of what it's like to set that up and thinking through the questions. So it's not like you need a computer programmer to do this for you. You can literally do it yourself. You know, you just set it up. We help customers do it, but it's there. The next slide.
So it was just, we were gonna, if we had some time or if we're already people's time, so if you need to hop off and you want to chat with us later about our booking portal, to meet with you, or we do have Dirk on the line right now who can answer any questions or walk through kind of what we have developed so far. So I'll kind of leave it up to you guys to just.
Yeah, we wanted to keep it to the focus group discussion today versus a product demo, but we're able to go through and show you what we've done for some other clients if you're interested in that. If you want, we could do that separately for you. Just let us know what you'd like us to do. And if there's anything here that you heard you want to talk more about, I know with Colin, is it Colin?
Yeah, Colin.
Colin, yeah, you're interested in the donation piece, so we're happy to talk to you about that. We'll get either David or Eric to reach out to you to book some time, but that's all we had time for today. I hope it was useful. Your time was well spent, hopefully. And if you want to know more, you want to schedule a demo with us to take you through it, we can show you how it works and do that if you like.
So the other thing I did want to make clear is this is a framework, and we've implemented for a number of different organizations, and not all funeral homes, right? We have other ones as well that have similar functionality. So what I'd like to show you, it's really the beginning point of what we can do for you, right? So you have your own website and your content management system. So we're not looking at replacing that, right? You're comfortable with it. It might be Drupal, it might be WordPress, it might be, you know, a friend of yours did an HTML page. So we work within that. So I think that is a comforting thing. So a lot of other solutions, you have to replace everything you've done and jump aboard. No, we're designed to add into and seamlessly mesh into whatever you have. You can have it as anonymous, or we think it really makes sense to sign in and ask a person to register, right? If a person is serious, we think the commitment to give at least minimal information is critical. But again, some places we have, they don't feel that way, right? Or they'll give an anonymous option, and maybe if it's anonymous, you can only subscribe to a webinar or a quick information session. You can't book larger sessions. So actually, show of hands or anyone commenting, does anyone see asking for at least a minimal registration as a problem?
I don't think that's a problem at all, especially in our market at all.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, and I imagine in your market you don't have a lot of people, you know, who aren't serious, right? I couldn't imagine there's a lot of fraud in that respect. So exactly. So when you actually register and provide information, we can have qualifying questions at that point, and you define it, and we capture the answers to those questions. And then we have something called workflow within the system. And it's simple drag and drop to say, if a person answers the third question, then go to this booking portal instead of the other booking portal. So it gives yourselves the ability to have pre-qualifying questions or to add the different plans, right? So one plan is, are you interested in our gold, silver, or platinum pre-funeral package? And based on that selection, it would go to a different booking portal with different resources from your organization or different time segments that you book with a person, right? The platinum might be an hour consultation, whereas the bronze or silver might only be a 15-minute consultation. So we have that functionality. So when you come in, you book now in the portal, then it comes up, and we can support different calendar options. You know, if you like a more of a calendar look, we can do that. You page by date. Here we have the bubble look and feel. Some people have said they like a list of appointments, and that's more clear, and just show it as a simple list. So we're flexible how this information is presented, and we'll work with you on that. The other thing is sometimes the appointments could be location dependent. So if you have that, we can have it that you would search, you enter your postal code, zip code, or city, and then you'd get the locations. We can show a map if that's something you like, and then you click on book now, and then it would pull up the appropriate calendar for that location if that's how you want to do it. If you have a larger chain or a few funeral homes that you represent, probably having a consolidated consultation makes more sense. You can more efficiently use your resources. But if you only have a few locations, it might make more sense to select the location even before you see the calendar, right? So we're flexible on that. So once you book a time, oh, sorry, there's someone speaking. So the other way we can handle the appointment calendar is on the back end. You can either have this calendar represent a group of people. So for example, in this time slot here, on May 14th from 3 to 5 p.m., I can have a group of 5 people. And if any one of those 5 people are available, then this time slot shows as available. Once all 5 people become booked, then this time slot is no longer available, and it would show as not available or booked or busy.
I have a question about that, because a lot of funeral home websites have about our staff, and that calendar would be under that person's staff person. So that way each person has their own calendar.
Yeah, we can do it that way too. So then you'd have a drop-down selector here for staff, and then you can book in the staff. And what it might be is once you register, if you've had an initial consultation, then you might allow a person to see staff, right? Because now they know who they're working with, and right, you've had a relationship there. But initially, you might not want to give them the staff, because then they'll always pick the most senior person, right? And that's the opposite of what you want to do. So we can absolutely support both those models, right? That make sense?
Yes.
Yeah. And the other thing is these dates and times, as the person who's part of the group that is serving up these meetings, I set the times available. So if I have 3 people and all 3 of them do not have any time available, then these available slots would blank out, and you can't book it that way, right? And we have either the CRM interface or Outlook calendar. So your staff, if you want, we can build the system so they're only in Outlook and they're managing their appointments through Outlook, which we find for some people who are not as computer savvy, that makes it much easier for them to adopt the software, right? We find most people are comfortable with calendar functionality in Outlook, where they might be very resistant to a new software system. So any show of hands, is that a concern that you feel some of your senior staff, it would be much easier for them to learn like Outlook calendar, or they're already familiar?
Our folks are, sorry.
Go ahead.
Our folks are pretty familiar with Outlook, but we actually use Navision more often for various, well, other points. We'd really like to keep Navision as our main place. It's where we do our CRM. So I don't know how it. I know Navision is a part of Microsoft. Is the connection easy enough for that too?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so for Navision, absolutely. Microsoft CRM, it's part of the same space. They integrate very closely together, very easily. So the benefit there is we would use the Exchange for the calendaring. So the Microsoft Outlook part is the appointments, but then any booking or any prepaid purchases, that goes through the Navision system. To find out resources of who's available can also pull from Navision. So yes, we've worked with integrating those two many times. And kudos to you, right? Like Navision tends to be a bit more complicated. So the fact that all your staff is comfortable with that, I would call you much more sophisticated than our average client. On average, we find about 1/3 of the staff at a client are very comfortable with technology. We show them the solution once and they're running with it. 1/3 find it very difficult for any technology, and email and SMS messaging is probably the extent that they'll ever get to. And those tend to be people very close to retirement. And then we have another group that we like to pair them up with, the technology savvy people, and they can learn it. They just need a bit more support. All right, we talked about the calendar options, the book now options. Let me just show you the schedule board or Outlook. I'll show two different versions of how you can manage your schedule. There we go. Okay, so here is the Outlook scheduling board and how this appears here. So you have the different resources, and the resource is anything with an email address. So if I wanted to book in here instead of WIM, if I wanted to book a vehicle, I would just give the vehicle an email, and then in essence, you would see the resourcing of that vehicle. If I wanted to do a room, I would do the same thing. I would add a resource called the room, and then I would see the calendar available for this. What this interface is designed to do is some of our booking clients, they'll actually assign a booking administrator, and they'll decide who the appointments actually are assigned to. So the portal can round robin, assign into blank spots, or it can book into an admin slot, and then the administrator takes those meetings and assigns them to individuals, right? And typically the pre-qualifying questions would be the input for that, or you might quickly do a search on the individual and make a decision. Are they likely to spend more money, and are they a better prospect? And if they are, I'm going to send that to my strongest person, whereas if it's more of a fishing trip or it's not urgent, then I might send it to someone who's not as strong. So that's where an administrator is helpful to assign that, right? So that is.
So a number of funeral directors use a call service, right? So they'll use a call service at night, they'll put at a certain time. So they could actually integrate with their call service on this aspect as well, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. So the call service, all you have to do is give them a login with the correct permission, and then they can absolutely see as many of these slots as you want. Maybe the call service is only allowed to book the top 3 and not the other ones, right? So then you define their security, and this is what they see, right? So
it's like what we call a first call, a call at night that you have to go out and transfer a body. They can actually get that call and it goes to somebody right then and there.
Yeah, exactly. And remember, the other interface we have is the instant messaging or the chat, right? So on your website, you can actually be typing to a person, and that call service can be given access to see those chats, and then they can assign it, right? And if it turns out to be an urgent need, they need a funeral director immediately, then the call service through the chat can capture information and pass that along. And if it's semi-urgent, it's a couple of days, they can handle that appropriately as well. Does that make sense? Okay, and then I'll just show one more interface. And this interface is the full CRM, and this is designed for larger organizations. Yes, here we go. So here's the schedule board within CRM. This is a little bit more sophisticated. It's really designed if you have more than 20 people who are serving up the sessions and you have more complicated resource needs. So here we can have roles as opposed to individuals. And then when you book in for roles, then the system can automatically allocate to individuals. So roles might be, you have one role that is pre-planning experts, so they only handle the pre-planning, and then the other one might be experts at cremation, right? And then you can assign groups of people to these different roles, and the system will automatically handle the booking and the availability of that. This calendar can go as deep as you want. So I think one of the biggest clients we've worked with had about 200 bookable resources in the system. And then you also have requests where people can request a time, you haven't assigned it, and then they come down here in the queue. And basically from the queue, you would just drag and drop it on the calendar to look at the times. And as you can see here, it's the same concept with the grayed out is not available, and the resources can control when they're allowed to take bookings or when they want to take bookings. And bookings can only be booked within those available times. All right.
And I imagine you could set rules around the time that's available. You could put, you know, if they're choosing an hour, but you could put an hour on either side if you'd feel that needs more time, whatever that asset is used.
Yeah, absolutely. So when you have a 2-hour window, what you might say is only 1 hour of that is meeting time, and then there's, like you said, 30 minutes before and 30 minutes after for preparation and for summary notes. Absolutely, we can do that. And those durations can be based on your different types of services, right? So if it's a pre-planning meeting, it's a half hour with 15 and 15 minutes. If it's a full platinum service, urgent need, then it's a 2-hour session with 1 hour on either side, right? You decide that and you decide how that goes in. Yep.
That makes sense.
So I think that's a good overview. I'm happy to sit down with any one of you if you want to go in depth with your specific needs. And I think in this situation, I'm not going to start asking people for their specific needs because you're in a group with other companies as well, right? But happy to dig in. But any generic questions that people have had, or what do you think?
One thing I would like to just comment on is, you know, when you think about lead generation, right? And we see a number of funeral homes now having an electronic death registry book when you sign in, or a QR code, you can just sign in, and they can sign in, you know, from even virtually now, they can sign a death registry book virtually, right?
Mm-hmm.
At that point, at that point, you have a room full of prospects that are there to visit somebody at a time of need, a death, but yet they are still a pre-need prospect. And when they're thinking about their most prominent time of pre-planning is normally when they're visiting, you know, doing a visitation at someone's funeral home, right? They're thinking about their own mortality now because they may have had 3 or 4 deaths, or this may be their second one or third one. So now they're starting to think of it as well, and making sure that they have all their ducks in a row. So my question is, how can a funeral home utilize that list to their advantage of setting up a marketing campaign in CRM to hit all those people?
It's a good question. So that's one of the main bread and butter uses of the CRM database. So whenever you have an opportunity to collect information, people's names, contact information, whether it be email, phone number, whatever that is, we often recommend that you put that information into the CRM database so that you can add them to a marketing list of some kind. And maybe you call them warm prospects because they've just gone through the experience themselves, and the probability of them being open to those discussions are higher now because they've just gone through it themselves, right? They were attendee at a service. So Dynamics makes it really easy to collect that information and get it into the system. You can use QR codes as an example. You brought that up. You can do that. People can actually, you can use an app either on a smartphone or a tablet or something like that, where when people sign in the registry, it's a digital registry instead of like a paper registry. And when they put it in, they can put their information in, and automatically that creates a contact and it gets added to the marketing list automatically. You can set up a process internally where once that's been added to CRM, maybe you have a salesperson go and actually reach out to those people rather than just being a soft marketing reach out. So there's different ways you can do it. It's all about how do we intake the data, how do we classify or segment this information, and then what actions do we want to do? Do we want to do soft marketing or do we want to do more direct salesy? And it's up to you, really.
Yeah, and if I can add to that, one thing that we found is very successful is after people attend an event, and in this case it could be a funeral, to send out a friendly questionnaire to the attendees where you ask questions like, you know, did you was the situation respectful? Was it well organized? You know, did you understand the process? And then you can put maybe a couple of little hooks at the bottom. So under the email response where you're soliciting feedback, you then do subtle marketing hints or links there to sell it. So that's a nice, very soft way to do a marketing call where the person feels that you're soliciting feedback and not doing a hard sell. So that's one suggestion.
Showing that you actually care about, you know, your service that you're providing, and you care about their feedback, and you care enough to actually change or improve whatever they feel might be a problem or whatever changes they suggest. And it actually will ensure in the future that maybe they think of you guys when they're going through something and need something. So,
yeah, I guess the more important thing, I guess, for the people that are on the call is it can be automated, right? They don't have to sit there and do it one after another, after another, after another. That process can be automated.
Exactly. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's the value in it. Because as a fellow salesperson, I think you said that earlier. If we don't automate stuff, it don't get done.
Yes, exactly.
Right.
I mean,
so
internally, we have set up so many automations that once you take the time to think about the customer journey and take the time to jot it all out and plan what you want to happen and what steps you want to create happen, once you press play, everything is automatic. So somebody comes through your website, fills out a form, they get show interest in a specific product, they get put onto a drip campaign in our system that'll send them emails routinely on maybe a monthly basis, and depending on how they interact on those emails, click on something, show interest, they'll be sent down another funnel, and that can run for months and months and months. And it's like we've nurture campaign that the marketing team takes a lot of time to prep, but once you press play and start funneling people through, you really only communicate with them at the end when they want to be passed on to a salesperson. So it really, really is like an amazing tool.
So then again, you can take it a step further in the sense of what we call in the marketplace aftercare. So after the service is all done, okay, because I had this experience happen when my father died in January, and it was going to be our first Father's Day without him. A funeral director has an opportunity to say, hey, we understand that this is the first Father's Day without your dad. We just want to let you know Smith & Jones is thinking about you today.
That's
just a simple message like that.
Yeah, that's well done. See, and what makes that easy is the data. It's all about the data. So if you have the person's name, you have the fact that it was a father, you know, when Father's Day come up, you can marry those two things together, and those are easy things to do, right? So with Dynamics being the database, if you're collecting that information, you can increase the level of service like that and automate it very, very easily, very easily.
Great.
So it's really good. And because you're part of the NFDA, like we do different partnerships with associations that service an industry where I don't know what your models are like there, but we can even work with you to put something together if it makes sense and go out to the members of your organization with an offer that's been vetted by you. Thanks very much for being such a talkative group. And that's, I think, Anthony, you're still here.
Yeah, I am.
Yeah, so thank you. Really appreciate it. Some feedback on the session. Was it helpful? Not helpful?
It was interesting. I mean, we're interested in scheduling, particularly right now. We've, as I say, the CRM we've put in place a while back, but we're we've still been working with digital whiteboards and that sort of thing for scheduling, and so we're kind of looking around at the point to just see what we can do.
Okay, is that Wade?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Are you comfortable if we get one of the salespeople to reach back out to you to see if we can't have a one-on-one chat to see if we can help you specifically?
You know what? I was earlier on. I was on the customer arrangement process automation team, which was trying to do a whole bunch of things. We ended up scaling it down and do CRM, and then we pushed it off to another team. So I was available today to kind of give my information to the new team that's looking into scheduling. So what I'll do is I'll maybe talk with them and see where they are and what they think of what I've taken down today, and we'll get them to get back to you. Okay?
Okay, sounds good.
All right.
Sounds good. Thanks for joining, everybody. Hope you have a great day.